Hey there, little mama. Happiest 50th episode for the Moms Like Us Do Things Like This show. I've got rose petals all over me. It smells so delicious. I decided it'd be fun to throw rose petals instead of confetti. I just wanted to be able to take this day and just to celebrate. You know, when we decide we're going to do something and we are doing it, and then it kind of is turning out really good, it's a time to celebrate. 50 episodes of me coming to you from my kitchen and mentoring you through all things that have to do with the mom life, your marriages, your mothering, yourself, your womanhood, your home. And I am thoroughly enjoying being with you. I'm so glad that we get to have this time together. Anyways, I want to talk to you today about being a mom, because this week is Mother's Day. How cool is that? 50th episode on Mother's Day week. So let's get to it. We'll have our celebration, and I will give you a wonderful pep talk about why it's wonderful to be a mom. Let's go. Welcome to the Moms Like Us podcast, where moms just like you learn strategies, systems, and skills through expert interviews and real-life insight designed to take your marriage, mothering, and home to the expert level. Hi, I'm Mona Corwin, your mom mentor and host, author, international speaker, and the founder of the Moms Like Us Academy. I've been coaching moms for over 25 years, and I have some really good news for you. Motherhood isn't a natural talent. It's a skill, and you can learn it. You can crush it at motherhood instead of motherhood crushing you. So let's get to today's show. And here we are. Okay, little mama, just so that you know, for those of you that haven't fully known me and you're just popping in on this 50th episode, I'm Mona Corwin, and I am your host on the Moms Like Us Do Things Like This show. And I've been married for over 40 years. Warren and I have 5 kids, 2 adopted, 2 biological sons, and 3 adopted into our heart's daughters. We have two daughter-in-laws, we have 2 grandsons, and we have a new son-in-law. And we are really a full family. And I got to tell you something. Being a mom is an amazing thing. And being a wife is an amazing thing. But you know what? It's really amazing to be a woman, because when you're a woman, you can do all those things. We have been at this for quite a while, my husband and I. Our children are all spread out, so we've had all kinds of different times and seasons and learning all kinds of things together. I've known my husband since I was 14 years old, and we've been married all this time. So what do you know about that? Marriage is a wonderful thing, and we've had our rocky times just like everybody else. And today, I just want to encourage you in all things that have to do with being a woman. But seriously, being a mom, I just want to talk to you about that from my heart. I don't have any notes, which I don't usually, because I really just come to you when I have something special I want to share. Mentoring moms has been such a blessing in my life. And as I've taken on that role and the mantle of being a Titus II mom and coaching moms for over 25 years, I find that more and more I just love the heart of a woman. You know, when you see a new mom and she's pushing the stroller and everybody's leaning over and they're talking to the baby, everybody's looking at the baby. You know who I'm looking at? I'm looking at the mom, because they're so precious. They've sacrificed to get there. You know, whether they've adopted or they've waited a long time with infertility or they've grown a baby in their own tummy. They've all sacrificed, and they're at a place where their baby is finally with them. And you can just see the glow on a mother's face. And I just kind of think it's really cool that God made it this way. He sure did. When a woman gets pregnant, different things happen inside of her body, and even in the chemicals in her brain and the hormones that she releases that helps her, that helps her bond with her baby, that helps her sacrifice for her baby. And all of a sudden, a woman that maybe didn't so much care to have kids, or even one that wanted to have some but just was a little self-absorbed, guess what happens? They get really excited about being a mom. Our culture doesn't recognize the value of motherhood, and this really makes me sad. And I want you to be fully aware of the fact that it does not. God, in his wisdom, knew that a mother was something that was going to be so necessary, that a woman was going to be something that was necessary for his plan and for his purposes and for his character and his image to come through the femininity of a woman. Because when God created mankind, he created them male and female, man and woman. And when he did that in, I was thinking that people will say, oh, God created man and then, woman was secondary. Well, no, that's not the truth, sweetheart. We are equally loved, equally valued, and equally created in the image of God with gifts and talents and roles that through those roles, we show the world who God is through our femininity, through our masculinity. When God created man, he could have used anything to describe what he was going to create. He said, let us make man in our own image, which is kind of what I just told you. And let us make them male and female. He made mankind male and female. He could have used anything to describe who we were. He could have said we were speaking spirits, we were speaking bodies. He could have said that we will be inhabitants of the earth, that we will go out and be, create babies and subdue the earth, which he did say we would do that. But when he described who we were, he said we were male and female. Isn't that cool? He knew the value of male and female. And I know that the culture's kind of gone a little wacky on all this, and actually it's been going like that since the 60s. But the truth is, this isn't new. This isn't new to God. It isn't new to our study of who people are. And actually, that's just kind of a sidetrack that's trying to get us off the track and say, it's like, hey, over here, don't look at the man behind the curtain, right? That's Wizard of Oz. But anyways, he knew that it was going to be necessary for his full image to be felt by the world around us. And that means you're a woman. And being a woman is a miraculous thing. There's a lot that goes on right now with people kind of wanting to switch roles and all that other stuff. Why don't you learn who a woman is? Why don't you learn more about your femininity as you embrace your motherhood? And I know if you're watching this show, you have embraced your motherhood and you're kind of liking it and you just want to learn more and get better at it. And you know what? That's part of it. We have believed a lie that motherhood is just something that you know how to do. And how hard can it be anyways? Well, it is complicated. It's certainly not an adventure into minimalism. It's complicated. There's a lot to it. But it's not a natural talent. It's a skill. And you can learn it. And you're kind of responsible to learn it. When you started out and you had to tie your shoes, you had to learn, right? And when you learned to do math and calculus and all that stuff, you had to learn what the process was and then implement it. And when your coach said, hey, I think you can be a forward and you can kick the soccer goal, you can make goals. I'm pretty sure you're going to be you're going to make us a lot of goals. He had to show you how. And when he showed you how, you practiced and then you did it. You went and scored a goal. Well, motherhood isn't any different. And the great part is your coach, the Lord, he is going to help you in every endeavor. So leaning on him and what he says and not the culture, that's probably going to be your best avenue. It is the best advice that I can give moms when I meet them. I want moms to understand that God's going to help. God's going to help you. He doesn't leave you alone with a baby and not be able to help you. And for those first few years, I mean, certainly for your whole life, but for those first few years, a mother is absolutely essential. Our culture is not telling us that. They are not telling us that. They're telling us like 6 weeks is probably enough. 6 weeks is not enough, sweetheart. They have studies, and they're in this book, Being There by Erica Cosmere. You can read all about it. But now they have actual studies where they put CAT scans and MRIs and stuff on babies and watch their brains. And when they're connected to their mother and they're with their mother, it doesn't look the same when it's with the father. It doesn't mean the father isn't important, obviously, but it means at the beginning, after that womb time, it is important that the child is with the mother. Now, I have 3 adopted daughters, and they weren't with me from that very beginning. And so there might have been, well, Mallory was pretty quickly. We got her right away, like fresh. Fresh. And so Mallory was bonding to me. But there still would have been that period where her birth mother and she was separated from her birth mother. And that would have been some trauma for her. And what we had to do to help make sure that certain things were happening so that she had good bonding with me and then with Warren and then the rest of the family and then the world. Being a mom isn't just something that someone else can imitate. I mean, people can imitate it, I guess. And you can have people kind of take care of a child like a mother would. But sweetheart, nothing can duplicate it. You are not duplicatable. You're not. You are the best, number one for your child. And these tests are, when I first read the first part of this book, it was several years ago, it verified what I have felt all along. And one of the reasons why I help moms figure out a way to make sure that they are home for a while with their children. Now, Erica says at least 3 years, maybe 5. And then after that, it's, kind of juggling, but children are always still the priority until they are self-sufficient and on their own. And I think that's exactly the way God made it. For a mother to be the one that is literally sewing in and bonding and teaching the values and the spiritual connection to the child in the world that they have to live in. I know we get a lot of back and forth, and the world has put wedges between women about working mom and stay-at-home mom. And I just ask that you would do a little investigating and really see the value and the wonder of being a mom and what that entails. Does that mean you never do anything for yourself? No. Does that mean you never fulfill the things, the gifts and talents that God's given you? Absolutely not. That is not what it means. God's given you gifts and talents, and he wants you to use them. But your very first priority in using those gifts and talents should be with your family, your husband, your children, your home, the people around you. That's where it should be happening. If you make money at that, then that's fine. That's not a problem. But it's not about the triangle. I told Mallory one time, we had a really deep conversation and kind of ended up with, well, Mom, why, I believe in staying home with my kids, and I'm so grateful that you have. She was getting ready to go to college. And she said, but Mom, why are you like telling me to go to college and get a degree and do all this stuff if what I really want to do is be with my kids? And I told her, first of all, those gifts and talents are to be stewarded by you, and you need to make them the very best that you can make them. And God will decide how you use them. But most of all, sweetie, it is not about the rectangle. It is not about the rectangle, little mama. That rectangle that is a check that you get paid for what you do. It's not about a dollar bill, and it is certainly not about a diploma. We have gotten off track, and I am being extremely bold, and I'm not afraid. I've always been brave on this because I know what I've seen. I've been doing this a really long time, and I've witnessed a lot of women that have regrets because they missed their mothering. They missed their mothering season. They missed it. There is a time when your kids are off at school, if you're not homeschooling, if you're not home educating them, that they literally, you can be doing what career things that you want to do. You can even get paid for them. But this career track stuff that you're going to not be able to get on the ladder, and you're not going to be able to do what you were called to do, and all of that. And there are women that are doing ministry. I'm doing ministry, so I need to do that. When that happens, you have to be extremely diligent about what is going on and making sure that your children have everything that they need. Because eventually they don't need you 24/7. Eventually they do go to a play school, or they go to kindergarten, or they're in school and then they go to sports, and you've got all day. Yeah, that's a great time to pursue your things. I know many, many women. One of the women that I admire very, very much, she raised 4 children. She became an attorney, and she became a state senator. And she still made sure that her time with her family was there. I just recently heard about Megyn Kelly. Megyn Kelly, as you know, was on Fox for quite a while, Fox TV network, and she decided that she was going to leave. And there was lots of, why is she leaving, and is she really leaving, and all that. Well, guess what? Recently she said, I left to go home to be with my children. My young children needed me, and they really wanted me to stay. And they offered me $100 million. Because that's what that's what with the advertising that was coming in. She was the biggest one on Fox. And she said, no, I'm not going to do it. My children need me. And there's a career ladder. Now, Megan's children have gotten a little bit bigger, and she's worked her schedule around their schedule, and she has a show on online, and it's a great show. She does a good job. She wanted to be with her children. Another trend that I'm really seeing is mothers that have careers like Megan, or they're, nurses, or lots of careers that they went to school for a long time to get to that place. They're saying, I want to have kids, and I'm going home. I'm going home to do it. And when they get there, that's when I get the phone calls. Because being with a child and raising a child isn't like dealing with clients. You don't get a 30-day review, a 60-day review. You don't get lunch out with people. You don't get kudos and notes about great things that you've done throughout the month. A little kid will barely talks, or is throwing food at you, right? So you have to learn to get that in yourself and realize that what you're called to do transcends anything that you need, because it does. I want to tell you something that is so special about being a mom. When, God, the most important thing to God Wouldn't you love to know and do the most important thing that God thinks? The most important thing to God is people. That's the most important thing. He created people. He loves people. He died for people. He's preparing a place for people. He's coming back for people. He's coming back for people. And little people at that. They're the most important thing. People. Little people. And I can prove it to you. I can absolutely prove it to you. I know in your heart you're like, yeah, it is. I know you know. But the proof is when it was time for him to send his son to the earth. Did he send Jesus to academia so he can learn all the things and be able to know things so he could get on that career path? No. Did he send him to the government? Because indeed, Jesus was going to be, the leader. He was going to be the king. Surely he would have to learn all of the big stuff on how to run things and things. Did he send him to the government? No. Did he send Jesus to a village? No. Because even though it sounds really fun and comfy and including and cozy and belonging, all the words that women love, belonging, community, village, you're not alone. Even though that sounds really good, it doesn't take a village. It does not. It takes a family. It takes mom, dad, aunties, uncles, grandma, grandpa. It takes a family. He didn't send him to a village. When God wanted to send his son, his very, very special anointed son, Jesus, he sent him into the arms of a mother, under the protection of a father. He sent his only son into a family, not even a rich one either, not one that had any provision. He sent his only son into a family, into the very arms of a mother. Can you imagine the safety that it would require to hold the King of salvation, the Messiah? What would that be like? Now, our children are not the Messiah, but they are just as valuable to God. They're just as valuable. They have plans and purposes and things that God wants for them. And you're holding those babies. You're nurturing those babies. And you have the honor of bringing them close to the spiritual connection with you, the emotional stability to be able to live in this crazy, nutso world. You are the one, little mama, that teaches them, don't hit your sister, be kind, open the door, right? You're the one that teaches them the values and the things that are important to you and your husband. Sure, you can find people that will have values like you, maybe even, another Christian woman. But it's not you. Friend, it's not you. You are it. You are the most important thing, especially when they're little. No one can replace you. Nobody can duplicate you. This is a marvelous thing. This is a thing to be celebrated. You should feel so good at that. Yet I see women crying and I can't tell you how many I have phone calls all the time. I had to leave my baby. I had to leave my toddler. I know they'll be okay. I know they'll be fine after I'm gone. Well, you know what? Studies show that's not true. The MRIs are showing it's not true. And Erica's book, she's like a clinical psychologist, sociologist, got all of the data in here. No. Reconsider. In our hearts, we know. But yet the culture tells us, no, you don't need to do that. Someone else can do that. Like putting on diapers and feeding them and putting them down for naps. It's just maintenance. We can do that for you. You need to go out and do the bigger thing, the more important thing. I know that is not true for single moms. And I know there are situations that are different, and I acknowledge that. And it's hard. It's really, really hard. But it is also not impossible. And I see women do it all the time, and I see God bless their efforts in making things work. When we started out, no, one car, an apartment, and home with Brett. And at that time, I was kind of a little bit of a feminist anyways. And I said, oh, well, I'm going to stay home for 6 months. I'm going to really stretch it. I'm going to stay for 6 months, and then I'll decide. And after that 6 months, I thought, there's no way I'm leaving this baby. No way. No one can do this as good as I can. Which is why I think it's really interesting that I'm seeing so many career women leaving the workforce to take care of their children. And they're like, those other people, are you kidding me? I did this and I did that, and I climbed this ladder and I broke ceilings and all the things they say. Pretty much can take care of this, and nobody's going to do it as good as me because I know how to do things well. And you do. Because when it comes to your baby, you can learn because they're used to learning, right? It's a wonderful thing to be a mom. And I want to tell you how important it is. And I hope this hasn't discouraged you. I hope it's empowered you because it's truth. It is truth. And truth needs to be said. There's so much time for you to do the things that God's put in you and the gifts and talents. There's so much time. I've written 3 books. I have a patent. I have products. I have 450 episodes of Mornings with Mona they're on this computer. It has stopped me from doing nothing. I've had 2 businesses, at-home businesses. I've done a lot of stuff and things that I wanted to do that were fulfilling for me. And to this day, I'm still kind of doing it. Now, nobody's at home, but I'm still doing it because it's plenty of time. For the gifts and talents that God's given you, are those really more important than the babies he's given you? Huh. There's a head tilter. No, it's not. Do you have to sacrifice? Yeah. If you don't want to sacrifice, you probably shouldn't have kids because that's what it's about. Having kids is a sacrificial thing. But it's a good thing to learn to be sacrificial. When did being sacrificial become a thing that is like, stay away from that? When is it that you were happy? My man sacrifices when he goes to work every day to provide for us. I sacrifice when I'm taking care of my children and I don't get enough sleep. Or because they were all spread out, I would have a teenager and a toddler and one that was waking up at 2:00 in the morning. Talk about somebody that didn't sleep. I was awake at both ends, all over the place. Yeah, it was sacrifice. But I figured it out. I worked it out. The Lord helped us. The Lord showed us. And I learned from older women that knew more than I did. And you can too. You really, really can. Being a mom and taking your atmosphere of your home and making it like heaven on earth, you get to do that. You get to do that, and you can do that. Doesn't mean you have to have the biggest and newest. Really, the little apartment that we lived in when we first got married, the little dining area, the floor slanted down, and I was always afraid that it was going to fall down, and I would never let the baby sit on the table when we lived there because I was just sure that thing was going to cave in. That was a little apartment. But I was in there with my baby and I was making things right. And when my man came home, that it was sweet and loving. And when he, to this day, y'all have heard me talk about it. And to this day, I do it. I want him to walk into our home and think to himself, nobody can get me in here. My girl's here. My kids are here. I'm loved. I provided for them. And I'm tired. But I know in here I'm loved. The world can't get me in here. And I want my man and I want my kids to feel that way. Okay, I could go on and on about this. Being a mom is really important. Really, really important. It's valuable. It's necessary. And I believe with all my heart that it is essential. It's essential for a child to be well connected with their mother, to have their mother be there. I teach on this in the Moms Like Us Academy, and I teach on other things for moms and marriages and womanhood and taking your gifts and talents and helping you do it, and even helping you leave the workforce so that you can afford to stay home for how long you want to. All of that's in the Moms Like Us Academy. And we have experts in all that stuff. You can find out about that on our website. But I'll tell you what, I'd give it all up in a heartbeat if I had my kids again and that this was getting in the way, because there would be time for it. It's Mother's Day coming up, and I want you to have a really good time. Don't over-expect everybody to tell you how great it is, because I want to tell you something. They're not going to get it. Your husband doesn't know what it's like to be a woman that's a mom. Be kind to him about that. They don't have that in them. They have the man thing in them. Like, we don't get how they are so protective of us and would like die for us and go out and literally slay dragons for us. We don't get that. But they don't get what it is for a mom and the feelings of a mom. And it's part of just the way God created us. It's a wonderful thing to be. Enjoy being a mom and just ask the Lord to let you see with eyes, with his eyes, how important children are, and that you would really soak this up. Your gift for Mother's Day, sweetheart, it is a heart that is full when she looks at her child, even when they're spitting at you. It's the heart to know that you are doing God's work. You are doing what God asked of you. He called you to do. He's given you the ability to do it. He's given you the gift of being able to do it. I want you to just soak that up this weekend. I'll tell you, this morning, both of my sons were home just for overnight. They had gone off on their dad and lads trip, and they had gone off and they fished and they golf, and they do this often, Warren and the boys. But they made sure they spent the night so they could spend time with me. When you see your kids fully grown, you will never regret one rectangle, no check, no dollar bill, no diploma. You will never regret if you didn't have those. You'll never regret it. Just to see my boys. They're such good men. And I know it's because they have a good dad. But I also know it's because I made sure. No. I know God helped me. And I am so grateful that I was able to do that. I'm grateful for my girls too, for sure. But they just happened to be here this morning. And the way they still let me be their mom. and be their mama. It's a wonderful thing. Don't miss it, sweetie. Don't listen to the culture that motherhood gets in the way and that the problem is children. It's a lie. It's a lie straight from hell, straight from the devil. And don't believe the lie that you can't do it and it's too hard. It is not too hard. It is not. It's not too hard. Okay. We went from rose petals to teardrops. Because being a mom is just that way, right? All right. I guess that's it. Moms like us, we got to do things like this. We've got to look at our children and see the value of who they are and the purpose of who they are and the gift that they are. Yeah, we need to do that. All right. Happy Mother's Day, sweetheart. For those of you that are in the academy, go ahead and be looking for your Mother's Day gift in the snail mail. I sent you something. And for those of you that are not in the academy, I hope you'll join us over in the academy because we have lots of things just like this. Anyways, again, I just really don't want to go. I wish you were sitting here with me and you could ask me questions and I would answer them. But send me questions anyways. And if this has really helped you, would you send it to another mom so they can be encouraged by a mom who's been there and done that? Because moms like us, we do things like that. We help each other. Bye for now. I sure hope you enjoyed this episode of Moms Like Us Do Things Like This. Sweetheart, we have so much more over on the website Moms Like Us, and we also are on Instagram at Moms Like Us __, and you can just join us over there to learn why we should know what we should know, what we should know. But I have got a little special thing that we have in the Moms Like Us world. It's called the Moms Like Us Academy, and I hope you'll consider it. You can find out more about it on the momslikeus.org website, but it is full of masterclasses that teach you how. Because, girl, motherhood isn't a natural talent. It's a skill, and you can learn it. But to learn it, you have to know how. And that's where we do it. That's where moms just like us, moms just like you, we make it happen. So I hope that you will go over and join us in the Moms Like Us Academy. Okay, that's it. Bye for now.